podcast. We're here. It is January 10th, 2024. The New Year's kicked off with a bang. Michigan Wolverines are national champions. They bring one home to the Big Ten, although sort of an all Big Ten, pseudo all Big Ten national championship this year as Washington enters the league next year. And we are blessed to have Kevin Ward by the fireplace tonight. He is not in the office. It is not official Kev. It is relaxed Kev. Hey.
Hi, boys.
It's a sensual evening with Kevin Ward here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't exactly say essential. It's comfy. We're being comfy tonight.
Yeah, nice little fire. It's like the fireside chats.
Oh,
Yeah.
just
Everyone,
straight out of FDR's playbook right there.
Everyone, sit down, America. Kevin Ward has a message for you.
How's your day at work, Kev?
It was long and stressful and tiring. So that's why this little dog bed right next to the fire looked really comfy. So
You're in a dog bed?
Oh yeah, my dog's bed is posted up right next to the fire, and it looked pretty comfy tonight. So that's what I'm laying on right now.
Kevin Ward in a dog bed by the fire. You couldn't ask for more. How about this news right off the bat? Nick Saban done at Alabama.
Yeah, surprising, man.
I
would have figured he had at least a few more years left in him, but I mean, he's over 70, isn't he?
I think he's 70.
72.
Might be 70 straight on.
He's 72.
He's 72. I mean, so that's old.
I mean, that's that's 7 years past retirement age for those that don't have enough money to retire. That's
5 now, but yeah.
Yeah, true.
Crazy.
I mean, you can't coach forever. I guess this might make it a little bit more real. The KF, he doesn't have much left. Similar sort of thing. It's you don't. I mean, he would have announced that by now. He's we've got at least one more year with Kirk. But
At least. But I guess it kind of just threw everyone off because no one was expecting it, right?
Yeah.
He's still performing at an extremely high level. He took a team that looked pretty shaky in the first few weeks and ended up still making the college football playoffs. The dude's still in his prime as far as coaching. He's on top of it, still cranking out championship caliber teams. I don't know. I guess just shocking because no one was even talking about Nick Saban retiring. For some reason, people love talking about KF retiring, but Nick Saban retiring is never even a conversation until he retires.
No. I think it's because he felt a little bit kind of like Thanos of college football, this inevitable, he's always going to be there, always going to. It's we can do as much as we want, but Saban's always going to be in control, kind of figure.
Yeah, I can only imagine what the Alabama fan base is doing right now. They're probably freaking out.
Probably. Well, Bo made a good point.
Because that's a legendary head coach right there.
Arguably the best college head coach of all time.
Arguably, yeah.
I mean, he's in the conversation.
And you don't replace that just like that.
No. Well, no. Who wants to follow that, right?
Probably Lane Kiffin, but I'd say.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people who would line up for that job, but there's not many people who could fill those shoes. And do it just as effectively as Saban has done it for the last 15 years.
The names I saw floated on Twitter already are Dan Lanning, Kalen DeBoer, Mike Norvell.
Okay.
What was the other two on that list?
The crazy one was James Franklin.
James Franklin was on that.
That was wild.
And then I can't remember the other one. You would think that. I mean, man, it seems like Kiffin's got something going though.
He feels like he's been the prince, the heir to the throne. It seems like there's every year people talk about how.
You think Alabama would hire him as the head guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they would.
I mean, he was OC there for 2 years or 3.
He won he was there when they won a national championship.
Okay, well that's half the years.
Yeah, it's half of them. But he has won one. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Kiffin is pretty happy where he's at Ole Miss right now.
I'd say so too.
He's making a lot of money. They just got the #1 transfer portal class. Like, Ole Miss is going to have a run at it, especially if a bunch of Bama players start running for the hills.
That's the thing.
Ole Miss could have a legitimate chance to be in the SEC title game next year,
which would undoubtedly put them in the playoff at 12 teams.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, they would have been in it this year.
Yeah, you're right.
Even not making the SEC title game.
Yeah. The potential for the Alabama roster to be picked apart now is very intriguing. It's because the portal opens for 30 days for everyone on that roster. You get 1 month when the coach leaves a program. Yep.
And the crazy thing about that is, given that the portal is closed for everyone else, correct?
Otherwise, yeah.
That means all the attention is on those 30. There was those 85 scholarship players.
There's 85 scholarship. Well, and
it's not the I don't know, maybe 1,000 guys enter the portal this past month.
Yeah.
God knows how many, but yeah, there's 85 scholarship guys who are up for grabs, and who knows how many of them will actually officially enter the portal. But there's no laws and regulations guarding this stuff. It's like pretty much everyone's fair game as far as who's going to get solicited to leave.
Every single scholarship player on that team will have somebody hit them up.
Now the fact that he's retiring makes me think that there had to have been a plan in place here, right? Or did he just retire out of nowhere, right?
With Saban, I would have similar to Kirk, similar to
any Fortune 500 company that has a CEO who's planning on leaving. Like,
you
always have a succession plan in place, right?
You would have to think, maybe at these other schools where they're going through coaches at every 3-4 years.
Well, not a place where like, hey, we might be firing this guy, but like a place where like, hey, we have a great head coach, but we don't know how much longer he's going to want to continue in the profession. Like he may want to retire soon. Like there has to be a succession plan in place.
Which at 72, regardless of how enthusiastic or like in it he seemed, even to like administrators or staff, you have to have that plan. If you don't have that plan in place as an AD, you're not doing your job. You have to at least have a list of names that you'd like, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you can throw out all the top shot names across the country all you like. A lot of them are in really comfy situations right now.
It's true.
And guess what? The top 10 schools in the country are paying a lot for their head coach.
So much.
Would you really leave Penn State for, I don't know what Franklin's making, but I guess it's close to $10 million a year to go make the same at Alabama? I don't know. And here's another question I was thinking to myself is, how good is Bama without Saban?
I was just going to say, so what makes this whole portal thing interesting for 30 days is how many of those guys, and maybe I'm projecting, but how many of those guys actually went to Bama strictly because of Saban? Or how many went because it's Bama and because under Saban they have this legacy, right? And now that he leaves, what is their ties there? They're probably all itching to go make a little cash to get pulled somewhere else. They might not have a single guy.
I mean, they're going to keep up at least half the roster. I'd imagine. But
Alabama's going to have to forfeit next season. They're not going to be able to field a team.
Just take a break. We're just a 1 year moment of silence for Coach Saban.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say it from our perspective. I mean, we weren't really heavily recruited players or recruited whatsoever.
I would say, yeah, it's a good. That's a good.
But
yeah,
I know most players, they commit to a program because of they feel that's the right fit for them as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And the head coach and the coaching staff is an enormous part of that. I would say greater than 3/4 of the decision making right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where it comes to is like, if there is an internal person being promoted to head coach, they probably have a much better chance of keeping their roster and mostly intact. And continuing to have success. To what degree, I don't know, but they still have a bunch of talented football players, right?
What if Bama, I could see this happening. What if Bama becomes what if they're just an 8-4 ball club, from here on?
I mean, how good were they before Saban?
I don't think any better than an average of 9-3 or 8-4.
I mean, I think they were consistently ranked, I want to say, but I don't think they were ever really in contention for national titles or SEC titles in the 2000s before Saban. Obviously, they were really good back in the 80s, 70s, 60s.
When did they have Bear Bryant? When was that?
I want to say he was in the 70s.
That was before that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It opens up a list of.
But how good is Bama outside of Saban, right? Because recruiting, I mean, they've got a bunch of good players coming out of Alabama and LSU, the Louisiana kind of area,
Yeah.
Don't know how big the boosters are. I imagine they're pretty big. They've been supporting the program for a long time. Obviously, there was reports of players getting paid even before they were getting paid there.
Well, and that's what Bo brought up in our chat is Saban getting out because now Bama's not the only team that can pay players. Everybody can pay players now, so it's just too competitive. Can't win any more natties.
I mean, I can also see Saban being somewhat of a football purist kind of guy, and he's like, I can see it. I could see this possible being true. Is that maybe he thinks I hate what college football has become, and I'm kind of just done with it.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think to some extent KF will hold some of that opinion as well. KF hates a lot of what football has turned into. He's an old school guy, and he's done well to adapt several times in his career. But he hates this portal thing. He hates the NIL thing at his core, right? And when you're done, you can kind of set yourself aside and fully detach and be like, yeah, this is all bullshit. I'm out. I don't want any of this.
Yeah, I mean, having to recruit your own players every single offseason to stay on the roster.
So
you have to recruit guys in the portal that you've gotten to know for all of a week, as opposed to the years that you spend recruiting the guys who signed to you out of high school. And then it would take a very mature group of 18 to 22-year-olds to handle responsibly the amount of money that's being tossed around there. That's just another headache for a coaching staff to have to deal with.
To answer your question, by the way, so first national championship was in 2009. They ran the table 14-0. That was Nick Saban's third year. Before Nick Saban got there for 2007, of which they went 7-6 their first year. The previous records were 6-7, 10-2, 6-6, 4-9, 10-3, 7-5, 3-8, 10-3, 7-5, 4-7, 10-3. Every 3 years,
just grossly inconsistent.
So every 3 years, they would have a 10-win season. Otherwise, they were a 6-win ball club. Very average.
Yeah.
They head coaches before Saban were Mike Schulte for 4 years, Dennis Franchione for 2 years, Mike DeBose, Gene Stallings, Bill Curry. I mean, it's just they were very sort of everyone. Every once in a while they won the Natty in '92, 12-1 in '94. 10-3 in '96, 10-3 in '99, 10-3 in 2002. But every 2-year gap in between all of those is literally a 500 ball club. It's weird. It's sort of a weird history.
That is kind of weird.
Then since Saban took over, he's won 6 national championships in 16 years. Decent. He was in the national championship, but lost 3 other years.
So you're playing for the national title more times than not.
Yeah, greater than every other year in his tenure. The only years he didn't make there's only 7 years out of the 16 that he didn't make it. The last 2 and 19, 16, 13 and 14, 2010. And then his first 2 years.
How many of those times? So let's see, 2010. Who would that have been? Is that Auburn? Is that Cam Newton year?
Yes. 2010 Auburn beat Oregon. Is that correct?
Sounds right. 2013 was the kick 6 to keep them out of the SEC title.
It was our freshman year. Yeah.
Remember that?
That was wild.
And then it was the college football playoff after that. And how many years did they not even make the playoff? 2?
I think they made it every year but 1, right?
Was it just 1?
Maybe. 2019 they didn't make it. It looks like maybe. I don't know. Do you that reminds me that the kick 6 of our freshman year. Do you remember watching on the bus? This is completely unrelated. I guess Michigan won the Natty, so we can talk about them. Do you remember watching that Michigan State punt on the bus?
Oh, 2015 Michigan State?
Yes.
Where, Michigan just had to punt the ball away to win the game. Honestly, they could have just ran around and took a knee. I think there was 4 seconds left.
All they had to do.
Yeah, it's just burn out 4 seconds. And, somehow Michigan State, or they drop the sap. Guy still tries to punt it. He falls on the ground on the ball. The game's over. And Michigan still wins.
But he tries to pick it up.
But, yes, I do remember watching that. I think we were on the way home from Wisconsin, right?
Something like that. We were on
on the bus from Wisconsin back home.
Yeah.
And, I just remember the bus going kind of crazy.
Whole bus went nuts. It was crazy, man. That was wild. That makes me. My mom sent me a picture of you, me, and Drake from freshman year at the bowl game.
God, I'm gonna hate it.
We took. Oh yeah, you don't look bad. Drake's hair is atrocious.
What, you got the skinhead going on or what?
No. He grew it out.
Freshman year?
I'll try and put it.
Oh yeah, I remember that pic. Yeah,
it's us in front of the Christmas tree in the hotel at the bowl game.
That was no, that was 2014. That was Jacksonville.
Was that our second year? Okay.
Yeah, because the year before I had shoulder surgery, so I was
so you had a sling, right? Yeah. Funny picture. Good memories. Anyway, end of an era, and it will be very, very interesting to see where that goes from here. Kind of brings up a lot of questions. It will be interesting to see how much talent leaves there. Do you think that Tyler Barnes and Kea, do you think at all they try and go get some guy on Alabama? They even look into it. They reach out to a third string or a second string here or there, hey, you want to come play at Iowa? Or do they not even touch it?
I mean, do we even have scholarships available?
I don't think so. But
so I don't. How do you do that? Scholarships.
Well, I think we kept all these guys. By the way, we're recording this after the final announcement was made that Schulte will also be coming back. The only person we lose is Coop, and that's because he's projected as a 20th pick in the entire draft. So this defense is going to be salty, dude.
It's going to have they're going to be good. Going to be good.
I mean, we finished the year ranked the best defense yards per play in the country.
Yeah, and I think
we returned 8 of 11.
While also having the one of the most yard or plays run against us too.
200 more than second, 150 more than I think anybody else in the top 20.
It's wild. Yeah, obviously Coop's going to be a huge loss.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, outside, we'll see how our corners progress, but man, the middle 9 of that defense is going to be good. So my big concerns is next year's, can we get pressure with 4?
Yeah.
And how do the corners hold up?
And if
everything else, we know what we got and they're good. So
yeah,
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Man, it is going to be tough to run the ball. It's always tough to run the ball in Iowa. It's going to be tough to run the ball in Iowa next year. Holy smokes. Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson filling gaps again. Oh, my God. Dude.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
What did you think about the Natty?
Disappointed in the Huskies' performance.
Same. They could have done better. They could have played better.
Oh, God. They left so many opportunities out there, and not just opportunities, a bunch of unforced errors, sloppy defensive play in the first quarter there, horrible gap discipline, eye discipline. To just there's no reason that there should ever be 50, 60-yard runs out of ever, but especially when the ball is being run between the tackles. That is solely on defensive error. Like, yeah, maybe an offense can scheme up a good run for 10 yards, right?
Yeah.
Anything above that is the defense fucked up some way or another. So when we were at Iowa, we considered a big run was 12 yards or more, and we shouldn't be giving up any of those ever. If we did, that somebody's either out of the gap or we're just straight up missing tackles. But yeah, that was disappointing to see. So I'm just like, okay, well, we're in trouble here.
I was kind of disappointed to see, you see the Penix highlights all year long, and he
did not look sharp at all.
He was threading needles and making unbelievable plays all year, and he missed some guys. He's throwing it high. He's.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, like, shout out to the Michigan defensive line. Like, they were having their way with the.
They were the
supposedly Joe Moore are winning Huskies offensive line.
They won the Joe Moore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Michigan fully displayed the fact that they were the far superior team at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Michigan's D-line was the deciding factor in the game. They were able to pressure.
And deserved to win the Joe Moore award. I mean, their offensive line was doing quite well as well. But yeah, no, Penix, even when he wasn't pressured, he was just straight up missing open guys. Like, I think I counted 3 or 4 passes where, hey, you're a first-round quarterback, you're a Heisman candidate quarterback. Those have to be on the numbers, right? Like, and then I know Herb Street pointed out a few open guys that couldn't get the ball to. Some of them I felt like he was being pressured. He had to get the ball out early, or it wasn't his first read. But no, there's a handful of passes there that were easily completable passes that would have turned into big plays, and they just couldn't make it happen. And a few of them go the other way, and it's a close ball game. But on the other hand, I think Michigan did Washington a huge favor at the end of the half, not punting that ball. If they punt that ball and go up into halftime, was it 17-3 instead of 17-10?
Yeah.
I mean, the game never would have even been in doubt.
I was really excited when they scored 17-10. They go into halftime. They get the ball coming out of half.
Yep.
And you feel like if they just make some of those plays that they made this year, like, it could have been such an exciting game. It could have been 17-17.
And then Washington's defense settled down in the second half. Like, they throw the pick the first play, second half. Huskies hold them to a field goal. I think Washington responds the next drive or the following drive with a field goal.
Yep.
And I think we take
it was 20-13 at that point.
Yeah, 2013 going into fourth quarter. And
they still had opportunities to go score a touchdown. Like, fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they just, one way or another, just couldn't make it happen. Had the one big play, gets called back for a holding call.
Couple questionable calls.
I mean, no more than any normal football game, in my opinion.
Yeah, they just happen to fall on big plays.
Yeah. I do think that it was a holding call, the one long pass to Dunze. But yeah, they just didn't look like the Washington team that we saw all year long, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And we do not get the cover.
Didn't get the cover. I did.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because I was officially forced into it so that Grant could take it. So I actually, by default there, end up beating you in the college football season.
You son of a bitch.
But I will say we
hit, though.
I was going to say the three of us were all heavy on the under and we drilled it. Now, Penix makes some plays. The Huskies get a little rhythm there on offense a little earlier. And that thing had the chance to be a little bit of an exciting, like, back and forth. But we cleared the under by 10.
Yeah, true. But, you also think Penix is playing better. He doesn't throw a pick that leads into a Michigan touchdown as well. Yeah. So, kind of.
There's a couple people who hit on that, by the way, using the Betfred IO app. Thanks for sending in your screenshot of the wins. Betfred sponsored the podcast all season long. We got them on for, I think, at least another month or two officially, trying to work out some future plans for the title sponsorship. Hey, if you want to throw your ring, if you got a company or a business out there, you want to throw your name in the ring to be title sponsor, we will do so much for you. I mean, we will literally. I mean, Kevin will come and bake you a cake and bring it to your front door or something. No?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. But no, got some Betfred screenshots. People putting them in the betting thread of the Discord. Exciting stuff. By the way, Patreon added a new feature. So our DHTs are now going to be live for our members, our Patreon members now. So that's going to be exciting.
Sounds dangerous.
It does sound a little dangerous, especially because that's the podcast where we talk about just the most unhinged stuff, non-football related. Tuesday, we talked about yesterday. We discussed a video from Twitter that I found where a man is seen on footage walking home with a girl from a bar, and the next morning he has her body chopped up in a bag, walking back the other way. So that's kind of like what.
And this conversation went where? I mean,
we just kind of gave our thoughts on it. That's what we do on DHC. We take some of the most.
All right.
We'll bring you on sometime.
Yeah, sometime.
The other day I said, don't be scared to send in questions after we answered the one about the guy seeing you early in the hospital. So we got another one today. Kind of goes back to all the guys returning. Obviously, all the guys minus Coop returning is big for the 24 team. What impact does it have on the teams of the future after that? It feels like their leadership returns and Iowa has a great recruiting class coming in. Does having those guys back allow the freshmen coming in more time to develop, which will then benefit the team in the future? Question mark.
It's a good question. I think you can look at it one of two ways. Yes, you do give the younger class more time to develop in the weight room and kind of learn under some older veteran guys. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there's no way to develop better than experience
playing
and actually playing. But I guess given the fact that these newer classes won't have COVID years, yeah, I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think of it one of two ways like this. The obvious, yes, obviously having guys who are proven physically on the field, but also culturally within the program, that's great, right? What scares me a little bit in the new age of college football is that being on the field is what keeps people happy the most. And who knows what the depth behind those guys coming back because they're taking a COVID year decides to do because, it's because there's no situation rarely in life where everything is just peachy for everybody, right? With Schulte and Castro and Jay and Nick and every other guy that came back, who else? Lachey. with every single one of those guys that comes back and uses their extra year, it's awesome. We get to see him in, for them. But there's a guy behind him and 2 guys behind him, 3 guys behind him who are kind of planning on.
Who just had a ton of reps cut from their 2024 football season.
Yeah, from their career.
Yeah.
The whole year, basically, assuming that these guys are healthy and play the whole. So it's now in their minds, the backups, the guys who are theoretically developing more. Does that push them or 1 or 2 or 3 of our second stringers or third stringers to be like, well, shit, I kind of saw my career progressing faster than this, was planning on Castro leaving and then me coming up into second place next year. And then after that, me taking up, maybe I have to find a new place to go. Kids will feel that pressure in today's age with the portal. So, and of course we'll replace them, right? We're always going to have the roster filled out, but some of that depth might find new homes theoretically. Now, Iowa, being an Iowa fan, I would have to imagine you feel more secure than most places because, as we've proven with getting 6 guys to come back, the culture there is top notch. They want to be part of the program. They buy in to the things that aren't just playing time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, imagine you're a 2021 recruit, or like 2021 is your first season. You don't get a COVID year.
Yeah.
So you redshirt 2021. So you have 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025.
You've got 2 years left at this point.
You've got 2 years left, and it's very possible you haven't even sniffed the field because you've had all your years there. You've had guys coming back for 6 years.
You've had multiple guys in your position ahead of you come back for a COVID year.
And it's not really anything to your own fault, right? It's like you're progressing at the stage that,
sure,
athletes do. It's just that the top keeps moving up and they don't get cut off, they don't get cleaned off, and time for the next layer to grow. It's I mean, that's just kind of a statement on how shitty it would be to be a freshman in 2021 in general. It doesn't have anything to do with Iowa specifically, but just across college sports in general.
I was just thinking the other day about when these COVID years run out, and we've still got a couple years of them. Like
2 more years, right?
Like it would be anybody that came in 20 would be the furthest away from naturally graduating, plus the COVID year. So then you technically have 6 seasons. So people that came in 20 would have 2 more years left. We still have 2 more years of people using COVID years.
Yep.
Technically, we've started that. Like the people are deciding to use one. So we have 1 more year. Next year, this time will be the final year where kids can decide who have it if they want to use their COVID year.
A year from now, right now.
Yeah. For the 25 season.
Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like, I don't know, you probably won't be able to palpably feel it, but there will be a little bit of a minor recorrection when that happens, because like we've talked about it, like there's full on men playing like 17, 18-year-old kids right now. It's just weird. Like there's a weird scholarships. Yeah. I'm sure all the schools are ready for the scholarships to reset where they don't have to deal with this. Like, yeah, we've got 95 for 85. Like, because they're not going to stop recruiting high school kids, or you are. And now all of a sudden you're giving out 60% of the scholarships in each of the last 4 classes because you're dealing with these people who might come back. It's a really weird spot.
Yeah. It's weird because one, you want to set up your program for long and sustained growth, and you do that by developing younger players and bringing in young players, and but at the same time, like your immediate focus is on how can I have the best team this year. It's by bringing those 6-year players back, obviously.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I remember our final year pretty well, and for like I made it a point to cherish all of the lasts. And
totally. Oh my God, it'd be so weird to go through it again.
And to not even know if it was your last. Like you just, oh my God, what is happening? What is this?
He showed up.
What is going on?
Brian Ferentz is a king, and everybody else can go fuck themselves.
We got a 5-second appearance.
I was hoping we got a little bit more than that, but
I was hoping we could get some more too, but
we'll take
well, there
it.
you go. That's well, now I can title the podcast without being clickbaity. Drake makes his return.
That's
and then
true.
they just have to
I mean,
listen to
that's
the
still
whole
extremely
thing.
clickbait. That's still extremely clickbait, but
Well, it's not false.
It's not false, no.
Where was I even going with that? Oh, our years of our year of lasts, and I remember it kind of started all the way back in spring. I remember making a couple jokes with you, like we were, I think you and I attended like 60% of spring ball in 2017.
Hey, we had the biomechanics, man. It was only available on Thursday morning.
I know. I don't think they even really wanted us at practice, even.
I was on partial retirement all year long, man.
Basically. And it's like, last spring ball, last summer, last camp. And then you get
camp felt pretty good walking out.
Last camp felt pretty good, but there's still like this weird, like, I'd do it one more time for one more time. You get towards the end of the season, it's like, oh, this is my last. And it's just like
last Iowa State game, last Pig game. Oh shit, this is senior day, last day in Kinnick. This is last Big Ten game, and guess what? You're on your last bowl game, and before you know it, it's over. Yeah.
And everybody on the inside, including the staff members who you've been around for 5 years, they're like, everyone would say, yes, we want these guys to come back. But there is this dark side of the positive, which is like, but you're kind of clogging up the scholarship distribution. Do you think any of the guys that are coming back are going to be on the official scholarship, or do you think the swarm took care of all these guys?
I have no idea, and I don't think it really matters all that much, right? They're on the roster. That's all that really matters.
But it does matter, though, in the conversation of like, how much should your NIL collective focus on keeping players versus should, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are decisions that you really have to make. I think they do it the right way if the swarm took care of them all, because I think trying to keep as much of your scholarships free as they would be before all this COVID BS is what you should try to do, because you're continually trying to get as many guys with talent in the door out of high school as you can. And
sure. Yep.
And these guys that are coming back, if you can say, hey, we'll give you an amount that will cover the school, whatever that number is, 20,000, or out of state, maybe it's obviously a little more. And, then you give them a number to compensate them over that to like make them happy. And that just, if you've got enough cash, and I think the number at Iowa, at least for the guys that we brought back for Coop, it would have had to have been a lot higher, obviously. But for every other guy, I think you might be able to bring them back for $50K, right? $40K.
More than they were getting.
More than they were getting on a scholarship check, because with the scholarship check.
No. I mean, like what they were getting from the NIL last year plus $50K.
Sure. Correct. Yes. It's just an interesting thing, and I think everybody will be happy to be done with that in 2 years, because then you're back to.
I mean, it's just like fucking life in general, right? It's like people can't live forever, right? No. Guess what? We need the old people to die eventually. Otherwise, life will stop real quick when overpopulation happens. So,
although I don't think overpopulation is happening, I think we're having trouble repopulating.
Oh, that's right. People ain't fucking like they used to.
Yeah, they're not. The quote of the podcast right there. Yeah, we're not having kids at the same rate. Interesting stuff. Did you see that? We'll end with this. Grant, his internet shit out, and this is just going to be a quick little fireside chat. Did you see both Vrabel and Pete Carroll are out as head coach in the NFL?
I did see that. Yeah,
That's wild, isn't it? Like Vrabel was pretty successful in Tennessee.
he was the coach of the year like 2-3 years ago.
They went to the playoffs like 4 out of 6 times, 4 out of 6 seasons he was there.
Granted, though, like that was, I don't think it was ever really that strong of a division when he was there.
Well, no, the division's sort of trash. Who else is in that division? Jaguars,
I mean, it was Jacksonville, who was,
Texans.
I think they had like one good year when Vrabel was there. Texans had been a dumpster fire until this year. And then the Colts really haven't been anything since Andrew Luck left, right?
It's definitely one of the bottom 3 divisions in football, for sure.
Yeah, over the past decade, yeah. But yeah, it just goes to show you the NFL is very, very short memories. If you're not performing right now, you're on a short leash, and if you, God forbid, you let it happen 2-3 years in a row, you're done. I was surprised by the Pete Carroll though.
Yeah,
but he's kind of older too now. Like they didn't say he was fired though, right? He just they worded it differently, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think he was fired. It might have been a mutual decision. I think he's 70 or 71. Lauren looked at it before I came down here. So again, same thing with Saban. It's like at that point, as much as you love football, there comes a time where you're like, but I could, like, we have so much money from being a coach. We could just live a cushy life and like see our grandkids all the time and travel and like,
not to mention it's a fucking stressful job.
It's the most.
It's like you watch some of these coaches, the way they cycle weight in the off season, and
it's horrible.
Pile it back. Like it is such an unhealthy for your mental and physical health profession. Like it might be worse than being a coal miner.
I was gonna say it's coaching at a Division I level has got to be,
or NFL too. I mean, like
or NFL. I think
job
it's worse.
security in the NFL is probably worse than it is worse than in college.
Man, you're right. I would look at those coaches. I would see Coach Reed in there when you and I were there at like 11 p.m., 1 a.m. staying there studying for anatomy, and there's coaches still in their offices. It's like, buddy, this ain't healthy, man. Like,
no.
like I felt so bad for them. They don't see their families. It is a commitment that I would never be willing to put forth.
Yeah. And then especially in college now, like you got all this NIL stuff, transfer portal stuff. It's just become so much harder.
Where do you think Kirk and Mary go for vacation when they have when he finally retires and they have time?
I have no idea.
You think he's like a Cancun guy? He goes and finds the beach, or is he gonna like golf, go to Phoenix or Florida?
You know I have no idea. I feel like I've never asked the man where he goes and spends his vacation, because during July he makes it a point to give the coaches like their off time before camp starts, and they have to start spending 15, 16, 18 hours a day in the complex. Like he makes it a point, like, go be with your families, go on vacation, because the next 6 months are going to be terrible. I don't think I ever asked KF where he goes on vacation.
I would. Well, when we have him on the podcast, we'll ask him. Maybe he'll be from a remote location when we get him on.
He's just on an island somewhere.
He's just like he's in the Bahamas, and he just logs in. He's like, oh, is this thing? Oh shit. Close.
Can
you hear me?
We see him in a big old straw hat and a tank top.
He's got a Mai Tai
and a coconut.
And he's got like a tank top on. It's like sunny. He's under an umbrella. Cliff, could you fucking, how do you do this shit? Oh shit. Can you see me? Oh shit. I mean, how great would that be?
That would be awesome. There's just some ukulele player in the background.
Yes. And then we just talk to him for like 5 hours. We get like a 5-hour episode out of KF because we just like get him going on football and all the guys he's coached, and he just sit there and talk. Mary in the background, like, hey, when are you gonna be done? Hey, 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Oh man, is KF your last podcast? Are you done after that?
Oh God, yeah. If the GOAT ever comes on the podcast, you can't follow up the GOAT.
Would be hard to follow up KF. Do you understand how many people would tune in for that?
The state of Iowa.
I was gonna say there's a chance we might push 100,000 downloads on that episode.
I'd take the over.
Yeah, I probably would too.
If we sat down with KF for an hour plus, I'd take the over. 100%.
My plan, if you want to know legitimately my plan would be that when he retires, we contact him and we go and we sit down and do it in person. And
that's the last episode.
It does feel like it has to be the last episode.
We can rebrand and do a different show, but that's got to be the last Washed Up Walk-Ons episode.
Okay. I've got some ideas for a rebrand too, where we can kind of redirect. How you think? I mean, obviously Drake would fly back for that. That would be.
Hell yeah, he would.
Could you imagine like if he like let us come to his house and like do it in his like study or the den or whatever, and like Grant walks in, and he's like, we get Grant to meet KF, and
we do it over a couple of bourbons,
or like a couple pints of Cherry Garcia. Or whatever ice cream he likes. Supposedly that's the ice cream he likes. I don't think there's anybody we could bring on that would ever get more downloads than KF.
I mean, the president of the United States, maybe, but
do you think if we brought Doyle on, if we got Coach Chris Doyle on here, would that do more than KF?
No, KF would do more, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know.
The
I
haters.
There's a ton of people who would love to hear Doyle's side of the story, and he has not said anything really publicly,
other than he denied the claims. Yeah,
he sent out one tweet, and that was it.
Which I love that tweet. I think we might bring.
I think there would actually be a ton of people around this that would be interested to hear from his side.
I think everybody would like to hear his side of the story, and I
don't think everybody would like to hear it, but I think everybody would be interested to hear it.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean,
I think a lot of people might change their minds if they heard from the man. Be interesting. We'll wrap this up. We got a couple DMs. You know, we mentioned the triathlon that you're training for.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Are you do you officially have a race, or are you just like kind of prepping?
I'm training. I've not officially signed up for one yet, but I've got one eyed. In the crosshairs.
Got a former Marine, I believe, and his wife, who sent me a picture of their kind of like their training room at the house where they're with their bike. What would you call them? Like their bike trainers. You know, you put it on the wheel and you just.
Oh yeah, like you ride your actual bike on it.
Yeah. And they had a treadmill in there, and then obviously they can't swim. Well, at least in that room. So, and on the wall they had like all these triathlon. Ironman medals that between him and his wife they had completed. He said they've been racing them for like 20 years. He's like, hey, if you guys are really going to get into triathlon, hit me up. I can give you advice on everything you need to know.
Whoever that is, yeah, dude, hit me up. I would love to take a peek at like your training schedule.
That plus not only like with the bike, there's like you need a special bike, and like the do's and don'ts, like how to, if you pop your tire, all this different stuff, like how much do you carry in each transition, nutrition, how do you approach, like there's a bunch of extra shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then I had another, I keep calling him this. I'm just going to call him this, college age female DM us and say, hey, I'm one of your like very niche listeners that is a college age female, and I've also done an Ironman. So I love the podcast the other day. She said like a couple years ago she went back and started at the beginning and has listened to every episode. So she was like, I think her name's Ella or Ellie. So shout out to Ellie.
Shout out to Ellie. I mean, that is the one thing though, is like when you're just pounding pavement running, you have to be kind of a psychopath and not be listening to anything. So
me.
It'd be nice to have a good podcast to listen to while you're doing that.
She said she listened to our podcast when she was training for her IM.
There you go. Yeah,
pretty great. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to force anything else. 50 minutes with the boy Kevin, the fire flickering in the background. that's the end of college football season. So I guess we start getting some guests on here, huh?
I mean, we can talk NFL for the next handful of weeks if you want.
Sure. We've still got a little bit of football content.
Yeah, then we've got, Drake can pop on for 3 seconds here and there, and we'll squeeze some content out for the people.
I think we should probably get Coop on, huh?
I think people would like to hear from Coop.
Tell us if you want to hear from Coop. We might reach out to him. We'll see what's happening. Maybe get Tory Taylor on. Get a couple others on. Joe Evans, huh?
Yeah.
What? Tory, what? All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate it. Sign up for the Patreon if you want more of Drake. That 3 seconds was a great little teaser.
Drake's best form is in 3 seconds.
True in many accounts. We'll talk to you next time. Till then, peace.